The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. My name is Curtis Roach, and I am the conference manager for Clarion Gaming, and I'll be chairing today's IGB webinar. We're actually very delighted to be hosting a webinar with FSB. And today we're going to be discussing hybrid trading solutions for sports betting, balancing control and efficiency. There'll be a our panel for today consists of our moderator, which is Dave McDowell, who is the CEO for FSB. I'll let him introduce himself and the rest of the panel in full shortly. Just want to let you know there'll be a Q&A section following the presentation, so please do submit questions as we go along, and we'll try to address as many of them as possible in the allocated time. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Dave, and he can take it from there.
Great, thank you very much. And welcome everyone to our webinar on hybrid trading systems. Today, really what I'm going to be talking about is how sports betting technology has evolved over the past 20 years, and really trying to discuss how we can balance control versus the desire for efficiency and outsourcing. And throughout the whole seminar, one of the messages that I'd like everyone to be keeping in mind is control for control's sake isn't what we're trying to get across. What we're trying to get across is how you can affect the customer experience, because ultimately the customer experience is what you can do. You need to differentiate your product in a very crowded marketplace. And so we're talking about how you can take control of some of the aspects of trading to deliver that differentiation in the marketplace. My name is Dave McDowell. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FSB Technology. And today with our panel, we've got the CEO of FitStairs, William Woodhams. We've got Carl Riley, an independent consultant who's really spent most of his career focused on the marketing side and operations side of sports betting. And we've got Keith McDonald, the principal of KMI Gaming, joining us for a panel discussion and a Q&A session afterwards. Just a little bit about FSB. I set up the company with my co-founder Sam Lawrence and CTO back in 2007. We've spent the last 13 years really focusing on delivering modern sports betting technology. As a company, we have a full player account management platform, or the PAM. We've got our own proprietary technology for sports betting. We offer a fully managed service, or for customers who've got their own trading team, we'll deploy our system in an enterprise solution. We've got the full casino aggregation tools, and then we've also got a front-end API that we use to roll out websites, iOS applications, and retail systems, over-the-counter and self-service betting terminals. So it's from our perspective as a technology supplier in the space that I wanted to put on this seminar, where we can discuss really hybrid trading and how this is an evolution of the natural business model. The agenda today: a quick history of sports betting supply. We're going to talk about software licensing, and we're going to talk about managed trading services, how those have evolved over the last 20 years, and some of the pros and cons of each of those models. We'll then go into what is it that I actually mean about, by hybrid trading systems. What is it? What can you do with it? And then we're going to get into 5 different ways that we've worked with our customers to deploy hybrid trading solutions. So these aren't just sort of marketing theories of how it can be done. These are actually 5 different ways that we have done this over the last several years with our customers. And again, we're going to focus on the marketing impact that these hybrid trading solutions have helped us to deliver. We'll then move into the panel discussion and the Q&A session. So please send your questions. We'd love to get to them. A history of sports betting supply, and I think that I love this picture. Just sort of a really sort of old school, how it used to be at the track, all on the day. If we go back to the late 90s, we had some very large retail bookmakers, and you might tell my accent's American. I'm from Michigan, but I've been living here in London in the UK for the last 20 years or so. Back in the late 90s, there were very large retail operators like Ladbrokes. There are lottery suppliers around the world that needed to offer sports betting. And really the software license model dates back to that time, where a lot of these retail operators wanted to get a platform online. And so they commissioned the building out of a platform. And this model essentially requires you to purchase your own hardware. You license the software, you work with the company to get a custom installation of that software, and then you hire your own team, and away you go. And that made sense for, again, companies that had large retail estates, already had large teams of traders in place, and so this was just another tool to get their product, displayed, to get sports betting displayed through a different channel. Some of the large suppliers today, OpenBet, you'll know, it was bought by Nix, was bought by Side Games, and now SG Digital. FinSoft, bought by, I think it was G-Tech. G-Tech bought by Lottomatica. Now it's part of the IGT platform. And these systems, the pros of one of these installations is that you've got full control over everything. You can do anything that you want with it. Largely they're proven for scale, even though that's every year somebody goes over on a Grand National. But they're clearly, these are the systems that the whole industry grew up on, and so these are the ones that have naturally handled the most scale. The con of this business model, however, is it can be very expensive. It can be very long lead time to deploy and implement your own platform. Generally requires you to solve trading. So often you need a very large trading team to use one of these systems. And traditionally it's been the time and materials business model. So if you wanted any changes, the code branch has been forked, and so you need to pay for that change to be implemented onto your specific implementation of that code base. And that's really, there's still some very, very large operators who are running on the same model today. About 10 years ago, I'd really say, managed trading services started coming into their own. And this is really, when I set up FSB, this is one of the business models that we were really looking at. We could see that the idea of almost a white label site or a fully managed site was how the casino side of the industry worked. It's how poker and bingo sites worked. But you couldn't do it with sports betting because of those really high barriers to entry that came from needing to have one of those software platforms installed and hiring your own traders. And so we wanted to explore a much more efficient business model, one that we saw successful in, again, the casino, the bingo, and the poker side of the industry. And this is where the supplier handles, we've got our own bet acceptance platform, we've got all of our own technology, and the managed trading services suppliers also handle the trading. We buy the data, or we're getting the data from whatever means we may have, and then we provide it as a full turnkey solution to all the customers. And here we've got SB Tech and we've got Camby. You'll probably be familiar with those brands. We know that SB Tech was a sister site or spun out of 10Bet, who was a large operator, and Camby as well, spun out of Unibet, which is now Kindred Group, also a large operator. And the pros of this business model are that it's really efficient. The startup costs have been dropped right down to the bottom. Quite often these platforms are multi-tenanted, so you can host a number of different brands on the same technology stack, and there's no need for the operator to hire their own set of in-house traders. On the cons, the negative side of this business model is there's nowhere near the same level of control as you would get from from owning the platform or having the whole platform yourself. Quite often you get network pricing. So if we're running 20 different brands, we can't change the pricing to suit one brand's demographic if it's going to negatively affect the demographic of another brand. And so quite often the managed trading service has one price that works for everybody, but you can't differentiate in those areas. The products quite often start looking very similar. They're often very limited by the supplier's UX, or what the supplier can do on the front end. And so I think it's very important, if you're going to take a managed trading service, that you're looking at what kind of flexibility you have available to you on that front end solution. And that's where it brings us to the hybrid trading systems. Now, this is a business model that we've been working on. We've been delivering for over 4 years now for certain customers of ours. And it's best described really just you start with an MTS, but then the operator takes control over some small pieces of the system. You might have a small team of traders and you want to control a certain sport or certain margins or do something, but you don't want to have to hire a team to run the entire sportsbook. And that's where hybrid trading comes in. And if you get it right, the pros really are that you've got full control of the core product. The core proposition that you want to put in front of the customer, you've got full control over that, but that long tail of sport that you might not want to have to get involved with, that's fully managed for you. And really what this allows you to do is to better differentiate your product than you could ever do with a managed trading system. The cons, I say no with the right supplier, but really the cons here are they just really come down to the strengths of the supplier that you're working with, because I think it's that we're trying to go for that Goldilocks moment where if the issues with the software licensing model are you've got all the control you want, but it's expensive, and the benefits of the managed trading service are it's really cost efficient, but you don't have control. Hybrid trading is designed to be that perfect mix between the control that you want and the efficiency, the cost efficiency of a managed service. So is hybrid trading right for you? This is, well, it's really only a question that an operator can answer if this is the right model. So in order to help understand that, I wanted to just take a step back and make sure we're all on the same page about understanding the technology that you need to run a sports betting system. And here, I want you to think about two completely different pieces of technology. We have a data automation platform, and that piece of technology is used to integrate data feed suppliers from all over the industry. We've got, I guess 9 logos down there. We're integrated with a dozen different data feed suppliers. And then we use those data feed suppliers to either drive our own real-time pricing models or to pass through odds suggestions from those suppliers. And that data is normalized and then it's pushed out to the bet acceptance platform. And that second piece of technology, that bet acceptance platform, that's what most people talk about when we're talking about a sports betting platform. That's the platform which is used to really manage the state of all of the events. It tells us which markets are open, where we can accept bets on. It controls the latest odds. It records all the wagers that are being placed. That bet acceptance platform holds all the liability management tools and all the risk management, back office tools that we give to the traders. And so these two pieces of technology, one is about integrating data and managing data to push it into the sportsbook. The second piece of technology is about accepting bets. And that's where I think these models, hopefully that can bring it to light a little bit. And here, again, going into the software license models, the software license, you've got the bet acceptance platform, but you don't have the trading tools that come with it. With managed services, you're then bolting on the trading solution, but you're turning them both into a black box. You're losing the control. And for the hybrid solution, what we're doing is trying to just demystify the whole thing and say, this is the technology that we use to run our fully managed sportsbook. Take a look at the controls. If you want to take some of these controls in-house, we'll work with you to try and make sure you've got that control. So if you've ever thought about any of these concerns, then really hybrid trading probably is right for you. And these are real quotes that operators have said to us in when we've been talking to them about the technology. I can't put up any bespoke markets without them appearing on my competitors' sites. And this was this was a company who they've got a fantastic opportunity to differentiate in the U.S. market with player propositions, but if they put them up on their own website, they're going to appear on their competitor's website, and that's a problem with their MTS provider. When I spot a price that's wrong, I can't wait 3 hours for a supplier to pick up an email. And again, real life experience, and here the customer was losing a lot of money because when the price is wrong, if you know the price is wrong, you're going to lay a lot of bets on that price until you get that price corrected, and so you can't wait for 3 hours until after the race is gone to it's too late to correct that. I want to manage the football lines, but I don't want to hire a team to manage everything else. Again, a real life quote from somebody who had a small team. They just wanted a team of 4 or 5 people to control those lines that were important to them. They didn't want to have to worry about everything else. I need a different pricing strategy to go into each of the different, the different markets because of different taxation. We'll talk about this as well. We had one customer who actually they wanted to go into multiple territories in Africa, but because one territory had turnover tax and the other had gross profits tax, they couldn't send the same pricing strategy into both of those markets. So coming from those quotes, there are 5 specific things that I want to talk to everyone about. And the first one, 5 different ways that you can apply hybrid trading. That first one is overnight management, where one of our customers wanted to run the sportsbook during the day, but they didn't want to have to hire staff to manage the sportsbook overnight. The second one, a customer of ours wanted to plug in and integrate a data feed so that they could differentiate themselves with that different data feed, but use everything else. The third one is actually that last quote about the African implementation, where they needed to have different margin strategies into different countries, and actually deployed 2 different platforms. Each platform targeted 3 different countries. 3 of them had gross profits tax and 3 of them had turnover tax, and it allowed them to to go into those markets. The fourth one that we're going to look at is going best price on odds checker, and here there was a customer that really just wanted to manage individual prices. And then the fifth one is VIP services, and talking about how you can override any price and put bets down manually or through a telephone betting system for VIP clients. So this first one, the overnight management. Here, the client had their own platform, they had their own sports book, but they couldn't run a racing product because the technology limitations within their own sports betting technology wouldn't, they couldn't run horse racing. They had asked another MTS supplier to run it, and they were experiencing losses because of late bets and incorrect pricing. And they asked us, could we just promise to react more quickly than 3 hours if they spotted a price was wrong? And we kind of laughed and said, well, we'll just give you the tools. You can change the price yourself. And that was, it was the beginning of a really good relationship where we gave them our pricing tools for horse racing, and they put their traders on them so they could manage those pricing tools. So they had full control over all the horse racing pricing. But then at night, when they went home, our team would take over, and we had certain rules and protocols in place where if any bets came in for the next day's racing that had liabilities over a certain limit, we knew exactly who to get out of bed on the operator side and let them know about the risk that was running on. And it turned it into from a loss-making proposition to a very strong profit-generating center. And really, what that allowed, and this is kind of the whole point of the session is, and so what, right? The marketing impact was once they were able to gain confidence in the pricing, once they were able to gain confidence that the markets were running, we weren't taking late bets, it allowed them to put more money into marketing and be much more aggressive with the marketing, knowing that the controls were there and the controls were there in place. And because they could configure all the odds along racing, it allowed them to do whatever deals they wanted with newspapers and go and be able to set prices, knowing that those prices would still be there in the morning when the newspaper went to print. So it was about giving that marketing team control over the pricing so that they could then go out and invest in marketing. The second completely different scenario here was one customer of ours who was on a fully managed trading system, but they identified a cricket feed supplier that had a great depth of markets. Now, we didn't use them in our managed trading service because we wanted to cover a much better breadth of competitions. This one customer liked this feed. They really liked the derivative markets that came from this cricket feed supplier. And so we just plugged those in. So we had one bet acceptance platform deployed for them. Our managed trading service sent over all the prices for everything except cricket. And then they used this third-party supplier to send cricket in. And then the marketing impact was they were able to take those derivative markets that nobody else on our managed service had, and use those to differentiate their product in outdoor marketing campaigns. The third method, different margin strategies. Again, this was an African client of ours who had a single platform. In fact, they had a local implementation, but they couldn't expand into new territories because of taxation. For this was a little bit more complicated to put in place, but it's actually a fantastic tool now that this is in place. We actually, again, I mentioned earlier that we set up 2 different bet acceptance platforms for this client. And if you really reduce the cost of installing a bet acceptance platform, you can put a lot of them in place. And again, thinking about the U.S. market, you might need to have 30 of these things in place if you're going to operate in 30 different states. And so we've worked really hard to make sure that footprint of the bet acceptance platform was as small and as light as possible. So we deployed 2 of these for them, and then we just send in our normal MTS price into both of those platforms. But at the platform level, we put a configuration tool in place so that they can override those margins. They don't have any traders. We still provide a fully managed service for them, but they've got their own schedule of margins, for the different competitions and the different events, and pregame versus in play, how they want to override our price. So our price is designed to be competitive in the UK market. For the territories that they were trading in, they didn't need to be as competitive, so they added, I think, 2% onto one platform and 5% onto the other. And that allowed them to go into these different markets with an appropriately priced product. The fourth method, going best price. This was actually quite an interesting one to watch because, again, they had a full managed trading service again, but they hired a trader whose sole job was to look at and almost gamble, really, to take a view on top flight football. And they would identify certain selections in certain markets, like over 2.5 goals to be scored, for example. And they would want to take 30 to 50,000 pounds on that selection. So the trader would come into our system, manually override that one price. That price would be displayed on Odds Checker very quickly. As soon as the lines get out of line with Betfair, arbitrage comes in, the prices get filled up very quickly, and then they'd resync it back onto our feed. The whole thing still allowed for full automation of suspension, full automation of the settlement process, but they could override. They could set their own price. They could index off of our feed. It gave them the tools to just very quickly go in tactically where they wanted to change a price, and then come out, resync it with our feed, and then not have to worry about any of the settlement process. Yeah, and the fifth method that I wanted to talk about was we had a client, a very successful VIP telephone betting business, and however, it's very difficult to offer in-play betting over a telephone, and they didn't have access to casino content, and so we migrated their business onto our platform that allowed them to launch in-play content and casino content, and actually start marketing to a wider audience that maybe didn't justify the VIP treatment. But then through our back office, they can take a telephone bet and override any price on our system. And they get access to some of our customer profiling tools, which might have helped understand some of the customers a little bit better. It helps with the workflow. All the bets are laid on the same sportsbook as their online system, so all the liabilities are managed in an aggregate way. and it allowed them to just continue doing what they did really well, which is provide the VIP services, but use the MTS to extend their services out into online in-play and add on the casino content. That's really quickly bringing me to the end of my part of the presentation. Is in summary, again, those 5 methods were all methods where a trading team, a very small trading team, was able to come in and use our tools to change the way we do trading on a small aspect of our fully managed service. But the reason was so that they could be more aggressive with their marketing investments, so that they could create more unique marketing campaigns and bespoke product offerings, so that they could access new territories, so they could go on to odds comparison sites and stand out from the competition, or so that they could offer VIP services or telephone betting or concierge services as well. I hope this has been helpful and informative and interesting. Certainly fill out the questions as we go through and get into the panel discussion. I'll go through some of the questions and see if I can't pull those out and ask a few people to respond to them. But I just want to, before going over to the panel, just the backdrop here. FitzDare has just put a fantastic ad out, and I'm going to actually pass over to William, the CEO of FitzDares, next. I was just watching one of the races on Ascot on the live streaming on their app. Full disclosure, FitzDares is one of our customers. Again, in the full disclosure, Carl as well has worked for our customers before and is familiar with our platform. So with that, I'm going to hand over to William Woodham, CEO of FitzDares, and ask William to introduce yourself and share a few comments on the topic, if you would, please.
Hi, thanks, David. Thank you for the presentation. Yeah, we're an independent bookmaker based in London on a UK license, and we spent millions of pounds and about 4 years trying to build our own bespoke systems here for clients, because we have a very specific needs base in that regard. We tend to trade, well, historically, our average bet size was about £500. What's that? $750 per bet. Predominantly UK horse racing, some international horse racing, and football and cricket. And we worked really hard with in-house developers to try and build a system that would look after our client base. And from the start of our business, it's always been about personalization and knowing your customer beyond just compliance, KYC, absolutely knowing everything, all their needs and desires, and part of that is the trading as well. So what the sort of stake size is, what we're comfortable with, and that was a complete unmitigated disaster. We burned a huge amount of money, had to lay off 20 developers, and it was a nightmare. In flies Dave McDowell and the FSB team, and we were keen to have a London-based third-party operator for us. And just so you know about how we operate, and that was about 2 years ago, just as I joined the company. And as ever, it's quite a struggle to get a third party and to launch an app. Fundamentally, we had about 10 people using our app, and obviously that went up slightly overnight. And I'd actually say probably for Ascot week this week, which is along with Cheltenham, one of the biggest weeks of our years, we are, as if by magic, as if they've done this specifically for this talk, we are now operating, kind of at 100%. We have, as you mentioned, streaming on our app. It's probably quicker, as we historically a UK horse racing specialist, it's quicker to probably get a bet on UK or Irish horse racing on our app than pretty much all the other operators. And so we think we've got a really good tech product, which is great. And casino for us has been an eye-opener. Yesterday, one customer turned over 950,000 in the casino. So that's the sort of customers we occasionally bump into. Sadly, he was up 10%, but I don't want to think about that. But so we have a very specific type of customer that's very service orientated. Anecdotally, which will help sort of explain how our business runs, and Dave, do give me the hand gesture when you want me to be quiet. We ran an advert in the trade, well, in the Racing Post, 2 days on the row last week, which the advert went, bring, bring, that's the sound of Bet365 not answering the phone, because they just announced they closed their telephone betting operation. As far as I'm concerned, if you are a high staking lover of sport, you want to get in touch any which way you want to. So we're very happy to say that you can bet with us on an app, you can bet with us on live chat within the app, you can bet with us on live app chat within the desktop site, and you can also text us, ring us. We invented text betting at FitSays, or the first to use it in a compliance-friendly way. And also, I'm trying to think which other ways you probably come into the office. That might break a rule. And I think we're going to integrate WhatsApp as well. Everyone's saying, what's the point of integrating WhatsApp into your custodian platform? My answer is, myself and my friends, 95% of our messaging with each other are via WhatsApp, not texts or any other systems. So not having it would be naive. So that's where the kind of hybrid lands with us. We have, they're now working from home, but we have 13 brokers who are constantly talking to our best customers. We have no VIP managers or anything like that. It's all about offering them the best possible service. And they work with the FSB trading team very closely. We helped, I suppose some of the work we've done on building a bespoke system for managing higher staking clients and offering them a personalized service was integrated into custodian. And I think Dave, you've seen the rewards of having a fully integrated system where you can take a bet any way you want. Tweaking the risk factors and limits and liabilities on specific clients is absolutely key to our business. We have clients who are high staking but are consistent in their winning or in their losing, and to know that customer well and to have played with them for 12 years, we have incredibly high amount of customers that stick with us because they appreciate the personal service. So it's been brilliant, actually, seeing how fantastic the trading team at FSB has been at probably managing our lower staking clients and delivering a margin for us. I think we're tracking, I think this is probably, I don't know if it's indiscreet, I think as of yesterday, across our platforms, we were tracking 13% margin on sport, which I think most bookmakers will take any day of the week. I can see some nods. And I think we're tracking probably 8% in our private office, so across telephone and text office. So again, probably higher staking clients, so you can't really grumble about that. We just need to get that casino margin up after yesterday. But but absolutely key to that is the personal service. And so my kind of takeout from all of this is I see most of the big brand bookmakers as relatively homogenized brands. There's certainly no differential in the UK between Coral and Ladbrokes. Yes, they're owned by the same person. Sky Bet had a differentiator in its media and broadcast and advertising, which will, as compliance in the UK becomes stronger, will become more difficult for them to stand out. And so what you have is a lot of brands that are becoming very similar. So I think we decided customer experience was going to be our calling card. And I come from the luxury sector, and we don't see any other bookmaker in the UK or Europe going after premium brand positioning. So that's where we're going to sit, and you cannot talk the talk on being a premium luxury brand without walking the walk. So having incredible customer service, 98% of issues with accounts are solved on the phone within 45 seconds or across our platforms, because we have a chat touch point on every platform. So that's absolutely key for us. We see that as clear a KPI for us, and having a system like this is delivering that. And as I said, Bet365 just closed their telephone betting operation. So for us, these are all just opportunities. Secondly to that, and I'll finish now, Dave, we're going completely in the other direction from the UK industry, in that we'll be opening retail as of September the 1st. Interestingly, there will be no cashier or FOBTs or electronic systems on the site. In fact, we won't even have a betting license. We are creating a sort of Claridge's themed sports bar in Mayfair, where our members would just be able to go and watch sport and enjoy it. If they choose to get on their phone and place a bet, so be it. That will be great. And if they place a lot of bets, they might get free dinner. But that's where we see the opportunity, because ultimately it's just going to be how many apps do you have on your phone, who's offering the best race, the best offer on the first race. And we feel like the clear blue water is around service and having an absolutely seamless, excellent service, but also great pricing and great technology. If you can get all of that right, we feel like we'll have a really interesting opportunity in the sector.
Fantastic. Thank you, William. Let's swiftly move over to Carl, who's also had some experience using our tools and our platform in a very different way, I'd say. Carl.
Hi, Dave. Big thank you for the presentation. Also, thanks, William. Really good and interesting to listen to your side of this. For the benefit of the audience, I'd like to quote a real-world example of working with FSB and employing the hybrid trading model. My background in the industry is quite extensive. I've worked with a number of brands, the likes of BetDAC, BetVictor, Coral, and latterly 188Bet. And the 188Bet relationship was underpinned by a linking in to the FSB tech stack. So I was in charge of the UK operation of a large Asian-facing brand. And we took the main Asian-facing platform, which by definition did not have a horse racing platform because of its Asian kind of heritage. So we linked into the guys at FSB, and under the framework of this hybrid trading model, whereby we had quite a kind of a small and well-contained in-house trading team that could link in directly to the FSB trading team, and both teams could leverage the FSB technology. We basically drove the UK business principally through our horse racing platform, because it presented us with the probably the best display case that we had for the UK customer. It was tailored to the UK customer. So for the benefits of this set, three major areas that I will briefly kind of cover that will explain hopefully the benefits that I took from that system. So number one, and Dave touched on this through his presentation, was it gave us the ownership of prices and the customer management process. So by definition, the way a lot of kind of UK T1 and T2 operators wake up every morning with their own kind of technology, proprietary technology and platform, and go to work, that allowed 188Bet to do exactly that. So from event creation to the development of markets, prices, early price policy, extra place race policy, and extensive anti-post portfolio, all of that was kind of, from its inception, was managed directly by 188Bet and the trading team, alongside the FSB trading team. That, of course, then extended out to customer privileges. So the likes of the application of best odds guaranteed, free bets, price boost policy, and customer bonusing was all at the behest of the 188Bet trading team. And it was underpinned by what I thought was a very intuitive kind of customer scoring model and a customer factoring model that basically had trader insight and the likes of theoretical margin analysis underpinning all of that. And so if you think about a very kind of, cursory and standard red, amber, green approach to this, basically each and every customer who was coming in through the business was categorized immediately through this process. And through the FSB technology stack, we had a really nice interface and basically a visual display tool, dashboard access to the bet ticker. So I think today, very prevalently today, first day of Royal Ascot, and how busy that bet ticker would be. You would literally see each and every customer coming through every second, every minute, and categorized by this customer scoring model. From a marketing perspective, we were looking at all those green customers, the guys that we thought were good, strong, commercially viable, and probably key to this, the recreational business that we could target as a marketing team. Tied into that, we also had real good kind of control of the CMS, which was really key because it tied in again to this process by the fact that we could manage on the fly kind of on-site messaging and also the actual banner display as you're running through the afternoon and as you're developing cross-sell messaging. All of that kind of fed into the outbound CRM, if you will. So again, the generation of lists, that was all at our control. So we could directly generate customer lists each and every day on the fly, tie that into email, SMS, and push, and basically be very kind of dexterous in that space. I think the second part of the benefit process, again, Dave touched on this, it gave clear brand differentiation and cut through. Because we saw horse racing as our kind of lead strategy, if you will, the battering ram, we basically put significant marketing investment behind horse racing. The way that manifests itself typically for the audience and everybody listening in, odds checker price grids, odds checker display, racing post content, print and display, and quite an extensive, wide-reaching display through print and digital across a number of big media providers. And all of that was underpinned by an extensive sponsorship portfolio. So we probably sponsored in excess of 250 races per year, right across the whole of the UK and Ireland, and being able to kind of have the anchor point of developing our own prices and our own kind of extra place race and all of the kind of, bolt on, added on kind of services really allowed us to be aggressive with the marketing spend and understand that we were driving good business back into the business. Good example of this, for 2 years, we had a flagship sponsorship, the Chester Cup, which allowed us to do a lot of kind of localized PR. And in 2018, we actually looked to go stand out on the Grand National with an 8-place offer. Now, in and of itself, I'm not a big fan of going much beyond 5-6 places because I'm not sure that it retains a credibility. However, this was purely about acquisition driving. So the idea that a brand that was looking to raise its profile could stand out on one of the biggest days, in fact, the biggest day of the year in terms of, the widespread coverage of racing, and basically drive acquisition through there. It was a couple of months ahead of the 2018 World Cup, so we were looking to build a base as well. So it all kind of fitted really nicely. And all of this was being driven by the fact that we could control this directly, both through the internal team, the FSB overflow, and the tech stack that was delivering all of this. Also, it really did facilitate the likes of regional acquisition, PR, and brand exposure. Example of this, well, of course, as part of our kind of portfolio, all racing was mainly the volume kind of drive that. And through the fixture list, we gained a lot of exposure up in the Newcastle area through their all-weather racing. So bolted onto that, we decided to take out a sponsorship with Durham Cricket Club. So what we were trying to do was ring fence certain kind of areas and certain kind of aspects, be it northeast, northwest, southeast, and being quite tactical with our sponsorship and our exposure. So that worked really well. Again, the confidence of having a trading system that could allow us to really invest heavily in this case, racing, and go after it. The third area was scalability, flexibility of the system. Really good kind of scalability in that, again, as Dave touched on, in a position to kind of have a huge trading team. So 4 or 5 guys who were kind of linked in, multi-site locations, linked in directly to the trading team. And the FFP trading team allowed us to manage that kind of out of hours and extended hours coverage. So the likes of US racing, the likes of overnight racing, it's the likes of Australia and that kind of thing, was being managed by a trading structure that was very flexibly applied across that. And that worked really well for us. And of course, the main kind of benefit of that was that we were balancing kind of out of hours positioning with being able to give our customers a very credible kind of service overnight, so that therefore, whilst we were kind of, factoring kind of customers out of hours, they were still getting a really good bet on that was satisfying both the pool customer and the key customer alike. I think the final thing was roadmap influence as well. It really did allow us to kind of work with FSB and develop a whole series of derivatives markets in racing. So the likes of betting without the favourites, the likes of winning distances, jockey match bets, horse match bets, these kind of things. Working alongside FSB to really drive that out, and also kind of, add to the volume kind of every day kind of product that we had. And we also linked in very nicely with the likes of PA, SIS, PMU, and all the streaming providers. So again, it gave us this real kind of theme of autonomy. It allowed us to really drive the process directly. So I think all in all, for me, in summary, what this hybrid trading model did, it was allowed us to have a real flexible, scalable kind of model that we could control directly, and that we could really lock in customers and basically lock in the whole process in a seamless kind of end-to-end way, really. And as you could guess from this kind of wash up, huge fan of the whole process and the FSB kind of tech stack that underpinned it.
Sorry, I was just muted there. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. We've got about 12, 15 minutes left. I want to pass over to Keith for some comments, and I know Keith has got a much more international view on things. You're based over in Florida right now and have experience working in the Asian markets as well as the European markets. Keith, why don't I just pass it over to you to introduce yourself and share a few comments.
Thanks, Dave. Hi, everybody. My name is Keith McDonald. I'm the CEO and founder of KMI Gaming. I've been in the sports betting and iGaming world for 20 years now, and 11 of those were on the operator side, primarily managing sports betting teams, and that's still an area that, as part of KMI Gaming, we've continued to help companies around the world with. The first thing to say, William, if you're getting 13% margin, I wouldn't worry about that casino player. Secondly, I just want to say how excited I am on the eve of the return of the Premier League with Royal Ascot this week, that we're talking about sports trading and there's sports. I mean, you know, I've been on a lot of esports panels over the last few months, which is my new love, as of 3 months ago. But it's great to be talking sports betting, and in the context of a genuinely returning strong sports calendar. So I'm really happy to have that back. I'm going to switch gears a little bit from the previous panelists and kind of focus on, you know, why we're having to have these conversations, why operators are dealing with these challenges to develop the trading systems they've had over the years. We have never had, whether it's in the USA, Asia, Europe, the UK, a time of more increased competition amongst operators. A time of tighter compliance regimes, obviously in regulated gambling jurisdictions, which in itself takes up a high percentage of management time and a high commercial overhead, but also increased consumer price sensitivity. So, you know, Dave mentioned odds checker before, but there's equivalents all around the world. And when you put all those together, it's up to the operators to really focus on delivering good value in a profitable way to customers, and that's not easy given the competition out there. You know, Fitzdares have got a niche that they've cleverly honed in on, but if you're a pure play internet brand trying to compete with the likes of Bet365 and various others, it's very, very difficult. What has happened over the years, and you know, I've sat in meetings over a decade ago where there'd be real clear functional autonomy, and what I mean by that is the conversation would usually start with trading saying, we don't need marketing, prices sell themselves, to marketing saying, well, yeah, they will, but you'll get the wrong sort of customers who are just attracted by prices, to customer service then saying, thanks for telling us about that campaign we just found out about from the customer. So there was a, you know, a real functional autonomy, lack of cohesion that I think over the years has been improved, where now those three functions work a lot better together collectively when speaking in meetings, but also that's reflected through to technology. And what I mean by that is data feeds that include prices. Yes, that's led to a more automated trading environment, but that's not new. That's just got better and improved, and the choices have increased over the years. What is new is that when those feeds are integrated, marketing and customer service factors can capitalize. So for example, if I'm a customer, if I'm a VIP or a recreational player that Paddy Power or somebody else wants to, you know, give good service to, they will recognize me and give me, I think they call it a power up, Carl, you probably know, but they'll give me a couple of points extra on a price that they offer. Or they'll let a bet that I put, I'm putting through, go through at a price that's historical or about to change for the worse, because they want to give me something that they know they can afford to give me, but it makes me walk away feeling good. So data feeds and automation themselves are not new. How they're integrated into host platforms, whether it be platform providers or internally developed platforms, is really what's changed over the years, and that's what's bringing together the operational infrastructure of organizations. Dave mentioned, I think on the first or second slide, quite transparently, a couple of other suppliers. There's FSB, there's SB Tech, there's Canby, and I think what Dave would admit as well is, there's no one right solution. FSB is a very, very strong solution. But I think what operators and organizations need to do before they go to market is understand exactly what's important to them from a strategic point of view, from a regional point of view, and what sort of customers they're trying to attract. And, build a beauty parade template so that, they talk to everybody, explain what their strategy is, and, get a short list of providers and options. They can be very, very different depending on what region in the world you're looking at. I've seen some Western software providers try to provide solutions in Southeast Asia. We're seeing right now European software solutions trying to provide and are providing solutions into the USA, but they're going to need to localize. The USA has been serviced by an offshore market for 2 decades, and the product and the sports betting offering that offshore market has provided is very different to what's coming out of the regulated space in the US right now. So there's going to be some homogenization there. So I just wanted to get across, I guess, to offer a slightly different slant, Dave, some of the micro factors driving these discussions, but also really to recommend that when operators are going to market to look for their solution, that they have a clear understanding of what their strategy is, what they're trying to achieve, and then use that to come up with a short list.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. I think that's actually a really fantastic point, because I think that you can have all sorts of great solutions that do different things, and it's really important for an operator to understand which of those solutions is actually right for them. And I think that a lot of that, if I can steer it right back to the hybrid trading solution, I think one of the problems with people trying to answer that exact question has been, on one hand, do we need a system where we have to have full control and we have to do everything, versus are we willing to sacrifice some of that control for fully managed service where we've got less control? And what we've been trying to get across, what I've been trying to get across today, is there's actually a different solution which sits in between of those, and it's a different balance of efficiency and control, and that's really what we're the hybrid system is not going to be right for everybody, but it's going to be right for some. And I guess with that, I'd like to thank everybody. Before we run out of time, we've got a few questions coming through as well from the audience, and I might just grab one or two of these. One person has asked for more explanation of what I mean by a data automation module. And the same person has asked if this hybrid system, all you can do is bump the odds on 1x2, or is there something more that you can do with that? I might suggest that maybe we'll do another entire session like this just on the data automation layer. But we were just this morning talking to a large operator who has a single supplier plugged directly into their sportsbook. And when it comes to this data automation layer, what we're talking about is a system where we've got a dozen different suppliers plugged in, and that you can run your own live pricing models. And for example, what we would do for football, soccer over here is we have a running ball data feed set up. So any events that running ball covers, we will automatically have those traded through our algorithms and the data pushed out into our sportsbook. But if running ball doesn't cover something, that data automation platform allows us to select different games, different events from different suppliers, and have that data go into our sportsbook as well. And what that data automation layer does is it takes that those markets, the full life cycle of the markets, the suspend, the odds and the results from different suppliers, and it normalizes it so the output, it looks the same to the sportsbook. And I think this is it's a pretty complex piece of technology, but it's also key to the hybrid trading system. So to come back to the question, are you just able to tweak the odds, the 1x2 odds, or can you do more? Really, the question is what do you want to do with it? Because there are some examples where you might only want to tweak the odds on individual selections, or you may want to just override some of the margins coming into the platform for everything, but you want to do it in a consistent way. If you need to take full control of the model, then we can give you control of the model and you can have full control over it. Or if you've got a different data feed supplier that you want to use because you don't like our models, you can plug that data feed supplier in. So the whole concept of hybrid trading is if you need to control those odds, you can tweak them a little bit, you can change them with different different templates, you can take control of the model or you can take control of the feed, and there are different options all the way along depending on what's right for you. Let me just see, there were some other questions in here, just trying to flip through these very quickly. How can I take control of some of the trading aspects? What trading and risk management tools do you offer? Maybe we'll answer that one offline. I think that's probably a much longer one. There's one to Keith. Do you think we'll win the league at Goodson against Crystal Palace?
It depends. I think Man City will beat Arsenal tomorrow, so it's probably going to go down to the Crystal Palace game at Anfield next week.
We paid out, just so you know, on Liverpool. Didn't
Well, you should have done. I mean, if you hadn't, I'd be asking questions.
And let's see. There's another one here for Keith and William. Can you take a best of breed approach to the tech and add to the hybrid stack?
Yeah, I mean, but I guess my one answer to that is we know a lot of operators, some of the ones that have been mentioned, like Ladbrokes, Coral, some of the legacy brands that are, they built their brands on bricks and mortar. In some ways, they've been hindered by the legacy technology they've had to use. And one of the ways they've developed and been able to keep up with some of the new breed, if you like, is to, in boutique style, plug gaps that legacy technology hinders them with. So, there's lots of ways of improving, in a niche way or a boutique way by identifying suppliers of certain areas that they can improve on. And I think that's what they've had to do when they've built off a legacy style platform, which themselves are improving, but they have their issues.
Yeah, William, anything to add to that? I'm not sure it's. I would also add to that I think it's flexibility is really the key message as well for any technology supplier. We offer a platform, we offer a sports book, we offer front end channels, but we have some customers that have used our API and built their own front end. So one of our customers in Africa. In regulated markets in Africa has identified the Opera Mini user experience as being the predominant browser. So they've actually gone out and built a complete bespoke front-end solution for Opera Mini customers. And customers who come in through any other browser will come in through an iOS or will come in through a website that we've built ourselves. So I think it's really important that back to Keith's question about choosing a supplier and finding what's right for you. If you have a fantastic platform, get a sports betting supplier that can plug in and integrate into your wallet. If you need a wallet, make sure that wallet is great. If you've got control of the front end, or you want to do something really unique with an iOS app and you want to build it yourself and have that be your unique selling point, make sure that you've got the APIs for everything that you need to be able to power that. And I think it's really important that you are able to take a best of breed approach and have suppliers that are very flexible and can sort of mix and match the components that we can bring to the table and offer with the components that you may want to use with someone else. I think we are. I think we're rapidly coming to the end of our time allotment. So with that, William, Carl, Keith, thank you very much for participating today. To everyone in the audience, thank you very much for tuning in and listening. So, drop any of us a line on LinkedIn or email if you've got any other questions afterwards, and hopefully we'll put on other similar sessions again soon. Thank you everyone for attending.
Yes, thank you so much. I'd just like to jump in there and say as well, thank you. And that's all we have time for today, but thank you so much for leading the discussion today, Dave. Today's webinar has been recorded and it will be available to listen to on demand very shortly on igamingbusiness.com for you to rewatch and share with your colleagues. But otherwise, we'll see you very soon. So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening and the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.